Welcome back, and now for the news in detail. We start from Afghanistan, where an insider attack has claimed the lives of 23 security personnel in the eastern Ghazni province. Government officials say 7 security officers opened fire on their colleagues on a checkpoint in the Karabakh district. Officials say 2 officers were wounded in the attack. The Taliban have claimed the responsibility for the incident. The bloodshed comes a day after US envoy for Afghanistan Zalmay Khalilzad announced a pause in talks with the Taliban. Khalilzad said the talks are halted for the Taliban to consult their leadership about Washington's concerns over repeated attacks by them. The US has expressed concern over the implications of India's controversial citizenship bill. US envoy for religious freedom Sam Brownback says New Delhi should abide by its commitment to protect minorities' rights. Brownback's statement comes days before next week's ministerial between India and the US. Meanwhile, violent protests against the bill have spread to West Bengal and Uttar Pradesh. There were protests in sites across Kolkata, bringing traffic to a standstill. Mass protest rallies were carried out in Hora, Murshidabad, Birbhum, parts of Burdwan and North Bengal. The agitators are rallying against the controversial act which gives citizenship to minorities from neighboring countries but not Muslims. Earlier, the UN's Human Rights Office also condemned India's Citizenship Act. It said the act is discriminatory in nature as it doesn't extend protection to Muslims. In India, the opposition Congress party is rallying in New Delhi to protest against the Citizenship Act, which only grants nationality to non-Muslim immigrants. Addressing the rally, Congress leader Sonia Gandhi said the new act will shred the soul of India. The rally has been organized as an awareness program calling the country a failed economy. Dubbed as Save India, the rally hosted all senior Congress party leaders. Gandhi said there is an emergency-like situation in the country as protests over the act have brought normal life to a standstill in northeastern India. Police have shot dead 3 protesters and wounded several others during clashes in Assam earlier this week.
The environment today is such that they make or remove any law or article in the Constitution, change the status of federal states, they remove or enact President's rule any time they like, and pass any bill they like without any discussion. They pretend to celebrate Constitution Day and make a mockery of our Constitution every day.
In India, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has stumbled on the steps of Ganga Ghat in Kanpur. He was immediately helped to his feet by security officials. Prime Minister Modi is in Kanpur city to chair the first meeting of the National Ganga Council and review the Namami Gange project. He is scheduled to review the progress of work done and deliberate on aspects of cleaning the Ganga River. He chaired the first meeting of National Rejuvenation, Protection and Management of the River Ganga Council. It's time for a short break. We'll be back with more stories. Stay tuned. Welcome back. The US has warned Iran of a decisive response if its personnel or partners are harmed in Iraq. In a statement, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo accused Tehran of firing rockets at a military base housing US troops near Baghdad airport this week. Pompeo said Iran must respect the sovereignty of its neighbors. He said Tehran must immediately stop providing aid and support to third parties in Iraq and beyond. Turning to Lebanon, Pompeo said the US will continue to support the Lebanese people in their fight against government corruption and terrorism. Earlier, the US Treasury Department imposed new sanctions against 2 alleged Hezbollah money launderers and financiers. Malaysia says the US sanctions imposed on Tehran violate the UN Charter and the international law. Speaking at the Doha Forum, Prime Minister Mahathir Mohamad said Kuala Lumpur doesn't support the reimposition of sanctions against Iran. Mahathir said Malaysia and other countries have lost a big market because of the embargo. The Prime Minister argued sanctions can only be applied by the UN in accordance with the Charter. Earlier on Wednesday, the US announced a fresh round of sanctions against Iran, targeting its shipping network. Prime Minister Imran Khan has arrived in Saudi Arabia on a one-day visit. He was received by Deputy Governor of Medina and Consul General of Pakistan in Jeddah, Khalid Majid. In a statement, Prime Minister Khan paid his respects at the Holy Prophet's grave and offered prayers at Masjid al-Nabawi. Later, he departed for Riyadh on official business. The trip comes on the heels of a whirlwind tour of Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi, who visited Riyadh prior to the Premier's arrival. Refuting Indian allegations about minority rights in the country, spokesperson of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Pakistan, Mohammad Faisal, says the white in Pakistan's flag represents the country's minorities. He asserted that Islamabad owns the white in its flag as much as the green, saying Indian propaganda against Pakistan is baseless. Dr. Faisal was referring to claims by Indian politicians that Pakistan's non-Muslim population shrunk by 23% in 1947 to 3.72% today. Citing independent research, the Pakistani diplomat said, according to the country's first census in 1951, West Pakistan had a non-Muslim population of 3.44%, while 23.2% of East Pakistanis were non-Muslims. He said this brings the total population of non-Muslims at that time to 13.2%. Dr. Faisal then pointed out the census conducted after the secession of East Pakistan, which shows the country had a non-Muslim population of 3.25%. This shows the apparent reduction in the non-Muslim population was because of the formation of Bangladesh. Dr. Faisal termed Indian propaganda regarding Pakistan's demographics baseless, malicious, and inaccurate. UK-based travel magazine Conde Traveller lists Pakistan as the top holiday destination for 2020. Owing to its beautiful landscapes, the magazine terms Pakistan a must-visit country. It highlights Pakistan's landscapes featuring towering mountains and green spaces in the north. The magazine said Pakistan is an almost magnetic spot for adventure travelers and intrepid hikers. The magazine also credits the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge's visit to Pakistan for putting the country back into the spotlight. Earlier, Forbes magazine named Pakistan as one of the 10 coolest countries to visit in 2019. It recommends travelers explore the valleys of Hunza, Shigar, and Khaplu via the renowned Karakoram Highway. Qatar says little progress has been made in resolving a 2.5-year-long dispute between Doha and its Gulf neighbors. This comes less than a week after a summit of Gulf states concluded in Riyadh. In an interview, Foreign Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdurrahman Al Thani said little development has taken place in solving the issue. Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Bahrain, and Egypt cut diplomatic and trade links with Qatar in 2017, accusing it of backing terrorism. Qatar denies the charge and accuses its neighbors of curtailing its sovereignty. North Korea claims to have conducted a crucial test at the Sohae satellite launch site. State media says the trial was carried out to beef up Pyongyang's strategic nuclear deterrence. It called the test a successful event of great significance without specifying the nature of the trial. The announcement comes about a week after the North conducted what it called a very important test. Earlier, Pyongyang criticized the US for convening a UNSC meeting over concerns about short-range rockets fired from North Korea. Hundreds of people have taken to the streets of London to protest against Britain's election results. The demonstrators chanted, "Boris Johnson is not my Prime Minister." Opposition supporters blocked traffic in London a day after the Conservatives won the poll. The demonstrations drew a heavy police presence in the capital. Protesters demanded amendments to the UK's refugee policy. The Conservative Party have won a majority with 365 seats. The Labour Party could only manage 203, while the Scottish National Party won 48 seats. The self-declared Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus has allowed Ankara to use its Getaskale airport for drones escorting drill ships. The move comes at a time when Turkey is at odds with Greece, Cyprus, and Israel over the demarcation of exclusive economic zones in the eastern Mediterranean. In a statement, the Prime Minister said it is allowing activities of unmanned aerial vehicles to protect Turkey and the TRNC's legitimate rights and interests. The airport is located in the eastern coastal city of Magusa. Turkey is the guarantor nation for the Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus. Ankara is currently engaged in hydrocarbon exploration activities in the eastern Mediterranean with 2 drilling vessels. The UN has renewed the mandate for the agency supporting Palestinian refugees for another 3 years. The United Nations Relief and Works Agency has faced budgetary difficulties since the US stopped funding it with $160 million per year. The agency's mandate has been extended until the year 2023. It received 169 votes in its favor and 9 abstentions, while the US and Israel voted against it. Both Washington and Tel Aviv have accused the agency of mismanagement and anti-Israeli incitement. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas praised the vote as a victory for the international law and the rights of Palestinian refugees. Sudan's former President Omar alBashir has been sentenced to 2 years of detention in a reform facility. The court convicted alBashir of corruption and illegal possession of foreign currency. The final court session was heard in Khartoum on 16th of November, including testimonies by the government's Auditor General. The case against alBashir centered around suitcases filled with multiple currencies worth about $130 million found in his home. Bashir was overthrown following nationwide protests that lasted months and resulted in several deaths. More stories to follow right after a short break. Norway is one of the only few countries in Europe with higher greenhouse gas emissions now than in 1990. As the world tries to slow global warming, a huge oil field is breathing new life into Norway's oil sector. More in this report.
Beneath these North Sea platforms lie dozens of billions of dollars worth of oil. The Johan Sverdrup field, run by Norwegian producer Equinor, pumps around 350,000 barrels of oil per day. Already the highest producing oil field in Western Europe, the company aims to almost double its daily production by 2023. While alarm over climate change and calls to curb fossil fuel production are mounting, this field guarantees the Nordic nation at least another 5 decades of oil production.
Based on our own assessment, also listening to the IEA, the International Energy Agency, there will be need for hydrocarbons also in 2050. There will be less need.
Across 4 platforms, hundreds of people work to control the drilling and pumping. In a control room, monitors watch the production carefully. All activities on the field are powered by an undersea cable from Norway, sourced from clean hydropower.
Every barrel produced from Johan Sverdrup is 25 times lower carbon footprint compared to the global average. And that's important in a climate perspective.
While Norway backs green initiatives like subsidising electric cars and protecting rainforests, the government is allocating record numbers of oil and gas exploration permits, meaning the days of the oil industry and Johan Sverdrup far from over.
And now the weather situation from around the globe. And that's all for now. For the latest updates, you can follow us on social media at Indus Special.